again, it's a stamp of approval that we're doing the right things. You know, it's the Netroots basically saying, this is the message that we believe in. This is the guy that has been out here, and you guys know it from the first dinner we hosted in Batavia, the first time you and I sat down out in Orleans County. I mean, people have been really becoming invested in what we're doing. And Orange and Blue, being the only non-millionaire in this race, you know, and having a community where 67% of our money comes from under $50 donations, it's incredibly fitting to get the word out. And you know, it's to have the support of, obviously, you know, the community is great. And coming on the tail end of Netroots, you know, after being down there for an amazing weekend, and knowing that, you know, all the hard work we did paid off. Did you see there was a comment out today about, one guy said, one of my favorite parts of Netroots was seeing me kneel down talking to somebody who was sitting there talking to you.
Is that a famous name for him?
Yeah.
Give your thoughts on Jack Davis.
It's old school politics. It's old school politics. And I think that there's a reason he's lost 2 times. You know, it's old school politics. What we have to do is continue to keep our message out there, talk to people about taking their voices back to Washington. So,
John, you talked about Iraq and Afghanistan tonight. Afghanistan's it's not Forgotistan anymore, I don't think.
no.
What do we have to do to address that piece with the Iraq War and then the conflict in Afghanistan?
Well, I think the first move is to begin their strategic redeployment out of Iraq, because what it's going to do is it'll free up the military units that we need. That being said, we can't just look at the military approach to Afghanistan. There's a great book that I think I talked a lot about on the trail, but it's called 3 Cups of Tea. And you read it. That is the model of an approach that we can include into what we're doing. This has really been left to fend for themselves right now. These NGOs that are out doing great work. The reason that these extremist groups are able to gather momentum in these communities is because they're providing the basic services that the government's not. You know, and then they become the folks that they rely on. You know, and the reason that Greg Morton's in getting into these communities is because he gave them ownership of their lives again. And they felt like they were part of what they were doing. Is it? And one of the key pieces to Afghanistan will determine the future of NATO. Because it's the future of how we work together with other countries that this administration has just completely stopped doing. But hopefully the new president will be able to work with these. And I think Obama's tour around the world represented the change. You know, he looked like he was. When he walked out of these meetings, all those presidents were slapping on the back because they felt like, oh my God, here's a guy that wants to lead by example, not a guy that's coming in here to tell us what he's going to do.
What did you learn in Iraq that helped
That's a great question. What did I learn in Iraq that helped me the most here at home? I think there's a variety of ways to answer that. One piece purely is the problem solving. You know, working with communities. It's one answer. It's involving folks in solving these problems. You know, it's what I learned was, and I think this is one of the failures of this administration and Washington, is that they've stopped involving everyday Americans in these solutions. And the Iraqis wanted to be part of the answer, but no one was leading in that direction. That being said, Americans want to be part of the solution, but we never had a call to service up until this election. 7 years after 9/11, there's been no call to service. It's that kind of leadership that I think will get folks invested again. Yeah, like the call to service that we put up. Yeah. But again, we're talking about it tonight too. You know, serving goes beyond just the military. It's the teachers, it's the nurses. It's doing an RTC program for nursing, so we can get real nurses working in rural counties. You know, that kind of emphasis on service.
And as a teacher, does the education
absolutely. Teaching in some of the most challenging schools, and having it set up so there's actually a benefit to the teacher.